Hello there, it's Jan at JB Crafts. Thank you for joining me today. How's everyone doing? I'm back with another tutorial for you today, and I've just got a couple of cards that I did recently, and I seem to have been sort of using basic shapes, or I called this one geometrical squares. This one was done a while ago, this one was done more recently, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to create a playlist. These were part of other playlists when they were put up on the channel. I thought I'm actually going to start a playlist for using basic shapes, and we're going to move on today from squares, from circles. We're going to use triangles today. So yeah, I just thought I'd bring these two in because this is where the inspirations come from. Both of these were very well received on the channel. This one was using washi tape, this one was using the apertures and using up scraps in there. And again, we're going to go down the line of scraps today, so let me just pop those to one side, and I'm going to bring this one in today with the triangles. Now, just at the top of the video, I do want to mention that this was actually a design on Pinterest. I was looking at all the different ones, just sort of browsing cards that were using triangles, and really love this one. And it is slightly adapted, it has a different greeting on, but it was a lady called Barbara Anders that had this up, and about 4 years ago she'd put a post on you doing this, and it just caught my eye. I love the idea of the you know, the scattering of the triangles. I love the splatters in the back, and I think hers said hugs on the front here, and I've changed mine to a happy birthday. So again, very basic. It's only a 7x5 card, so thank you to Barbara for the inspiration. This one is pretty much a direct copy of the layout. I've just changed the sentiment. She had the black strip across here, and it said something else other than with love. As I say, hers said hugs. But I'm going to change it up slightly today. I'm going to just sort of add my own twist to it, because this one was just using scraps of plain cardstock. I'm actually going to introduce pattern paper today. I'm going to keep the layout similar, and I'm going to use pattern paper. And I went through my papers. I came across this one. No, not that one. No, then I've put it to one side. I do this. Yeah, it was that one. Had this one a little while now. It's an ombre, but it's like a marbled effect in it, and again, it was one that I've bought online. It's fairly recent, and they're just a series of marbled papers, and I actually took, let me just open it up and show you through them. I'm not sure if it wasn't, sometimes I get paper pads in the range. I pick them up all over. You know that I'm addicted to paper pads, but they've got this beautiful marbling effect, and it's all paper. There's no sort of glitter or added medium on here, and lots of different colorways. I love this one. I want to do something with this one, and I actually chose I think it was this one. Have I just got one of those left? No, I've got two of those. Let me just see if I can find the one that I've picked for today. It had got the blues in. That one. It was the blues and turquoise, and I like the idea that it had got this lighter colour in it, and for that reason I've picked some gold. This is actually silver glitter card for the greeting. I've picked some gold glitter card to pull that colour out of the paper. So that's what we're going to be working with today, but again, you could do this with any paper, and you could do it with scrap as well. So I just chose a 6x6 sheet, and I sort of did all my triangles out of that. I haven't put a greeting inside this one yet. I may put an insert in, I'm not sure yet. Sometimes I just like to leave them blank to write a message in, but it was just about sort of having a play, and then I'm going to create a playlist and pull the other two cards over and put this one in as well. So what we're going to do then, I've got the components for very simple as far as the card's concerned. It's a shop bought 7x5 card, really straightforward, and then I've got a second piece that I'm just going to create a matte layer with. White on white again. You could put another colour behind it if you wanted to. I mean, this could be done in any colour, absolutely any colour, and you could put that coloured mat behind it, but I'm actually quite liking the white on white, just lifted with a tiny little bit of foam, and it just casts that drop shadow into the background. So at the minute, that's my I know this is not a clean and simple card. It's got far too much going on and there's not enough white space, but this is my clean looking cards. I tend to throw everything at them. I've got a video coming up where we're going to do all sorts of things to one of the designs, but yeah, this is my version of relatively clean. I'll put it in the little, you know, speech marks, relatively clean. So we're going to pop that one to one side. And I've got a piece, let's just have a measure of this one because I haven't put the measurements on the back. Usually come down about 3/8 of an inch. So yeah, 4 5/8, but it'll be by 6 5/8. So I've just got a 3/8 border which is divided round the card, and it just gives me a nice area around the outside to give that border when we're finished. So I'll pop the card blank to one side and we're going to work on this element first. And I want to put these splatters in the background. So you've got options with that. You could use a spritz spray. You could use your splatter brush. I'm actually going to do some stamping today because I've got an old set of stamps from Stamping Up. I've had these a very long time and they're still a favourite. I still go to them now. They're called Gorgeous Grunge and it's got all these sort of backgroundy styles in. And we're going to use this one, this large splatter. No, sorry, we're going to use this one today. We're going to use the fine splatter on this one. So I'm just going to grab this. These are red rubber mounted. And as I say, I've had it a very long time. I used to have a friend work for Stamping Up and I used to buy things from her in the past. And that's what we're actually going to bring in here. Now I think I can get away with the same colours behind it. For this one, I pulled these out of my scrap bag and I've shown you this before. I need to tidy it out. It's getting very full. I've even had to put it inside another one because it's splitting. So yeah, I need some love and attention. But this is my scrap of textured cardstock. I use a lot of coloured cardstock and all I do is literally pop it in here in some kind of colour order. They're all within their own colours. And this is my go-to for a job like this. So I went in there and I chose 3 shades of scrap of the teal blue. I've got a dark one, I've got a medium shade, and then I've got this lighter shade on this one. So all I did was have a look at my inks, and I've got my Distress Oxide inks here. And I got the colour chart out and just had a look at what matched it. And I think we decided, if I remember rightly, on Salvage Patina, which was the light one. I think I had Broken China. I'd put these away, I didn't leave them out. And then I had Uncharted Mariner for the dark one. Yeah, so we've got this one to match the dark layer. I've got Broken China to match the mid-tone. And then I've, oh no, sorry, that one will be, no, that's Tumbled Glass. Yeah, Broken China to match the mid-tone. And then Salvage Patina for the lighter one. So yeah, it doesn't have to be an exact match. It was just looking to see what I had that actually fit the bill. And then all we're going to do is we're going to pop some on here in sort of a fairly random order. So I'm going to start with the, I'm going to start with the dark one today. I normally start with light, but I want to see where those dark ones land. And I'm just going to go for it. I'm not really going to try and copy what I did before. I just want some splatters that are going to peek out behind the design. So I'm going to start in that top corner and just put a spray there. And then I'm just going to work in 2s. I normally do 3 of something when I'm stamping, but for the nature of the space I've got, I'm just going to go in 2s. So we're going to do 1 towards the bottom, and I am going to leave sort of a white margin around the outside. And then I'm going to flit to the next colour, which was Broken China. So we can pop that one back. And I'm just going to do the same. And I don't mind if these overlap in the middle because some of this will be covered up with the triangles that we're going to use. So yeah, I'm going to go sort of just turning the stamp so that we've got different aspects of it. Adding the ink and bringing in just that little pop of colour which will come out from behind the design. And then finally, we're going to do the same again with that third colour, which was the more turquoisey shade there, Salvage Patina. And again, I am just going to overlap them like so. I might pop a few of those over there as well, and then we'll fill that gap in the middle there. So not being too particular about it, it's just creating that mosaic of splatter behind the, you know, the details that we're going to pop on there. So that was my stamping. We can move those to one side now. Oops, that's maybe not the best place for them, Jan, because they're going to slide. There we go. Pop that away, and that's my background that we're going to work on. And then I've got a series of triangles already cut today, and it took a little while to get what I wanted to do with this, because I wanted these to be equilateral triangles. So you can cut triangles, you can just cut them freehand, you can cut right angled triangles, lots of different ones, but I wanted these to be equilateral. So I thought, right, I don't have, believe it or not, in the vast amount of stash that I don't actually have, I couldn't find any triangle dies. The only ones I'd got were little tiny ones that create a banner, and I wanted the 3 different sizes, just like Barbara had used in her design. So what I did was take some scrap card, did a little bit of measuring, and I know this is not everybody's bag. Somebody had left me a comment the other day about that there was way too much measuring, but those of you that know me know that I'm a bit of a numbers geek. I love anything to do with numbers, and the measuring doesn't worry me unduly. So I decided what I wanted. I wanted the large one to be 2¼ inches. My medium one is 1¼ inch, and my little tiny one is 1 inch. Now, I think if I remember rightly, Barbara had just used the 2 sizes. I wanted to introduce a little dinky one as well, so there's a slight change there. And what I'm going to do is, I just did this on scrap card and found the center. So the halfway mark for the 2¼ was 1 1/8. And then I used my T-square ruler to make sure that I'd got the angle right, and drew a line up the centre of the card. And then all I did was use that line. So if you imagine you've got your line measured up the middle here, and then all I did was go up the line until this edge measured 2¼ All right, so my line might have extended further up. I just come from the bottom corner here. Now, there's probably an easier way of doing that if you've got something like an angle measure or anything like that. But that's how I work mine out. Did the same with all 3 of them, and then cut them out. So this is at about a 300 GSM card. And once I'd got those as a template, I was off. I got my piece of cardstock at the ready and actually just laid these where I wanted them to get the right colours, and drew around them and then cut them out. And I'm just going to clip my hair up because it's very warm in the conservatory today, and I'm already warm and I've only just started. There we go. So what I've got there, now I've got hair all over me. Oh, Jan, here we go. I've actually got in my little box here the triangles that I've cut out. Okay, so you can see that marbling through them here. So I've got 3 of the largest one, like so. And I've tried to go for areas of the paper that gave me a dark, a more mid-tone, and a lighter area of the paper. Then I did some of the medium-sized ones, and I've got a couple that have got some of the dark blue on. I've got a couple that have got some of that medium, more sort of medium area of blue. And then I've got 2 little ones that have got the lighter area on, okay, just for the layout that I wanted to do. So that was the templates. I will keep these because they took me a little while to create. So I'm going to put those in a paper clip and keep them somewhere handy. I've got a box full of templates. I'll probably pop them in there so that I know where they are if I need them again. And then I thought, right, we'll add, so we've added a twist on Barbara's design by using pattern paper already. I've introduced a 3rd size triangle with the little diddy one. And then also, I don't know whether the camera will pick this up very well, but I've actually popped some of them through an embossing folder. Not all of them, the ones in the background I've left flat, but there is just a tiny, tiny little bit of texture. I've got like a florally print. This one's got just, I'll probably be able to see it on the back better, just a series of really, really tiny little polka dots. And then this one's got like little starburst flowers on. If I turn them over, you can probably see that imprint on them better than on the pattern. Okay. And then I've just marked on the back of them which way up I'm going to use them, so that I know which way I want them. So what we're going to do then is we're going to start and place these on the card, and I'm going to follow that same design. So I'm going to grab my glue I am going to grab my tweezers and we're going to start following the design that I've done with the mid-tone on the large one, and this one's going to go this way up. Then I had the darker one overlapping, and then we've got the lighter one more in the foreground. So it's just about getting where you want them to sit, sort of like this, roundabout. I'm not bothered if it's not exactly the same. So what I did as well, what I did mention with the paper was because my paper was very thin, I've mounted it onto some thinner cardstock as well. So I've actually got a double layer of this now because the paper was much thinner than the card that I used initially. And then I am just going to add some of my acrylic glue on there and we'll start placing these. So that was the mid-tone blue. And I'm going to come about just below a third of the way down and pop that one. And because we're working with lines and angles, I am going to bring my ruler in again, my T-square ruler, just to make sure if you start off with the first one on a straight line, there's a much better chance of getting all the others in position then. So then we're going to go with the darker one, which is going to be that way up, and just add glue behind here. So I'm now sat thinking what other shapes I can do. I'm going to revisit, I have got a card on the channel using hexagons, but I am going to revisit the hexagons and see what we can do and have a play with those. So that's that one. And again, I am just going to keep checking that we've got that straight edge reasonably straight there, yep, so that we've got that eye line. And then we've got this one, which is that lighter part. So these are all cut from one piece of the 6x6 inch paper. So it's a great way if you've got those I know we've all got a stash of 6x6 inch paper pads knocking about. And then this one I'm going to bring sort of almost, yeah, about like, might bring it a little bit further that way this time. We'll just change it up a little bit for the positioning. And then again, I'm just going to check, because that top edge, you know what I'm like with things being straight. I don't do wonky very well at all, so I have to check. So that's that one. And then, according to the plan that I had last time, I've got a medium tone one. So this one's the one that I embossed, and I'm going to bring that one further down the design. So this one's just going to overlap here a little bit. Now I am getting quite a bit of bulk because I've got mine sat on top of each other. So what I'm going to do is just grab, I'm sure I've got some scrap card knocking about, that probably will work, and just cut some little pieces of scrap card to pop under the edge of these, just to support them a little bit. So are they too big? Yes, they are too big. So we'll chop this bit off. I often use the card. You could put foam underneath them. In fact, it might be quicker, Jan, just to use foam underneath them. Come on, think. Let's get some foam dots out. I've got a few of those ones left. So yeah, we'll actually pop. If I take the top layer off. Here we go. Yes, that's it. And then just slide that under here. I think we're going to, yeah, that's much better. I think we can probably fit one under the corner as well. Now, because I used cardstock last time, I didn't have to do this because all the cardstock layered over each other and it didn't prove to be too much bulk. But this one just seemed to be a little bit thicker. So what we'll do is just pop them. That's fine. I'm happy with that now because we'd got 1, 2. This was the third layer here. And then we're looking for yeah, that one's going to go up at the top. So how are we going to have the same? This one's only one layer, isn't it? Let's just check. Yeah, I'm going to pop one of those towards the top there. And then just apply a line of glue where it's going to overlap. the other one, and this one I'm going to turn the other way up. So far we've been pointing down, and this one's going to point up. And again, as I say, this is following pretty much, we've veered off slightly from Barbara's design. It just caught my eye. I thought it was quite striking. I'd never seen anything done much with triangles before, and it was really, really nice. So then we've got a dark one. I'm going to bring that one in. That one's got pattern paper on both sides for some reason. And this is going to go pretty flat, so I don't think I need any foam dots on that one. It's just going to overlap slightly. In fact, I might bring it over. So I'm just going to veer off from the design slightly. And this is the beauty about being inspired by things that you see elsewhere. Hopefully, you know, some of my projects might be inspiring. I know some of you have a go at them. That's the whole idea. But yeah, it sort of starts off a train of thought, and you think, oh yeah, I could do that, or oh, I've got some paper like that, I could do that, or, you know, it might just be an element off a card. It might be a colour palette that you see that you like. It could be a particular embellishment that you think, oh yeah, I've got one of those, never thought about doing that with it. And this is what I like about seeing other channels. So because we've brought this one over, this one's going to just overlap a touch there, but I think we'll get away with that one. And then we've just got the two little ones. So we're going to bring one of them down here. That one's going to overlap here like so. And then the last one is going to go the other way up again, up near the top. So I have changed it just marginally with the layout, but that's the beauty of it, you know, when you sort of have a play with these. And I'm going to leave that one adrift like so. I like that this has landed with the little 3 dots there from the splatter just to highlight it. And again, we'll just double check that we're running, yeah, reasonably straight. So that's that. And I think this one's got a bit of movement in. I think we do. Oh no, I put the foam under that one, didn't I? Yes, I did. Okay, there we go. So we've done with those. We can pop those to one side. And we've got our design, as I say, marginally different as far as spacing is concerned. I've got them sort of slightly different layout. So yeah, it depends how you put them down. So we're going to move on to the greeting, which I've got die cut ready, and I'm just going to show you a little trick how to get this raised from the card design, and I've already got the panel done here. So I think what I'm going to do next is pop the top elements on before I put it onto the card. So I've actually got my little strip that says "with love" that we're going to bring from the side here across. I'm just going to cross that one with it. We might need some foam tape. And then I've die cut my sentiment here, just a generic happy birthday that I've had in my stash for a while, and I've done the matte layer in vellum, okay, and stuck those two together. Now this one I stuck, because this was fairly flat, this one went straight onto the card, but this time I want to raise it up a little bit. So what I've done is I've cut another layer out of some foam sheet. So this is just inexpensive, funky foam that I buy in one of my local stores. I think it's something like 50p a sheet, and it's great for applying sort of depth behind something like this. So I've die cut it, and I've left it in the foam because it's actually easier with something like this where it moves. It's easier to get it lined up. And I'm going to put this behind here, line it up with the one underneath, and then it's going to give me some dimension behind it. So what I'm going to do is just very, very carefully, in fact I think we'll add the glue to the back of here, I'll be able to see it a bit better. So just where the lettering is, so it doesn't show through the vellum, I'm going to add some tiny little dots of my acrylic glue there, and we're just going to attach this to the foam while it's in situ so that I can get that layout, that positioning in the right place. They do tend to move a little bit sometimes, these die cuts, and especially this one's got a gap here where the two P's are slightly spaced apart, and then the B's not attached as well. So yeah, when I take it out of the die, sometimes it starts to wriggle about a bit. So tiny little dots on here. And then I'm going to try and position this. I can see through this to get all the white the best that I can behind the one that we've already got. So there's a little bit there showing wants to go that way, and then this one wants moving. That's the one that was free cut. So yeah, I've just got a couple of little bit that want squidging over, but you can see through the vellum as to where it wants to line up. And then once we've done that, we can take the foam layer out of its casing. So I'm just going to leave that to dry for a second. I've got a couple of little bits of glue which we can just take away with the tweezers there. And then I'm going to pop my block on there just for a second until that glue grabs. And while we're doing that, we'll look at the position for the other part of it. And I think, like I said, we're going to need some little foam pieces underneath here. So let's just bring those small ones back. Definitely going to need one on the end there because that overlaps into the card. And we're definitely going to need one at that end. And I think that might be all it needs to just span. Put one under there. And then it's going to hit this highest triangle here. So I think, yeah, I think that's good. So we'll take off the backers. Come along. This is always my challenging part of crafting, I think. Getting the backers off the foam pads. There we go. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue in the middle here, where it's going to hit those die cut pieces. And then what I want to do is get this, line up with this edge, but it doesn't reach all the way across. So we're going to go about there. And just before I completely commit to the stick, we'll just check again that that's running reasonably straight, and then we can stick it down. So once we've got that bit on straight, we can then work with the rest of the sentiment. So while that sentiment's drying, we're going to put this together. So if you want to pop this on flat, you can just attach this straight to the card. Now I've managed to get a little bit of, I think it's the ink, but the glue eraser's pretty good at lightening that, so that's okay. I'm happy with that. So yeah, you could go straight to the card, and I think I'm going to do that this time because we've got the extra dimension on the front. All I did with this one, because it was such a big area, this is a piece of that same foam sheet, and I put the whole of that, I've just cut it slightly smaller than that top layer, and I put the whole of that behind here so that I've got a solid platform to raise that one up. It's just got a slight, it's only about 1 millimetre thick behind it. So because we've got the extra dimension on the triangles, I think I'm actually going to pop this one flat. And just for a second, we're going to do that with the, because I'm going cardstock to cardstock, we'll bring out the all-purpose glue for that one. And we'll get that stuck down, and then I can do the greeting straight onto the top. I don't know whether that's glue string. I think it is glue string in there, or whether it was, yeah, I thought it was my hair at first, but it's not, it's glue string. There we go. And then just pop this one straight on to the card blank, making sure that everything is the right way round. And we'll get that one adhered to the card back. Okay, so we're looking good so far. And then all we need to do is take the sentiment now out of its casing. So just gently release the rest of the foam that was die cut. And you've got that nice foam backing. It has slipped a tiny, tiny little bit, but that glue's not completely dry yet, so we should be able to pop it over a fraction. Yeah, I've just got it slightly misaligned there. Let's just see if we can squeeze it over. I think it moved when I put the block on it. There we go. I think that's going to be okay. And then this is going to go on here now. So again, all I'm going to do now is add some to the back of the foam this time. And yeah, you could put this layer between the vellum and the greeting, but I just think this way it raises up that greeting, and you've got that element of shadow again when you've got something lifted like this. So we're just going to add those little dots of glue on here, and then we're going to place this one so that it just slightly overlaps the black here. The descender on the Y is going to come over the top, and I want the happy birthday reasonably centered in between the actual card sides. And again, I'll just pop that block on it for a second. Okay. And that is my take on Barbara's design. So as I say, this was on Pinterest, a lady called Barbara Anders in 2021. So she's getting the credit for the design today. So thank you, Barbara, if you do happen to come across this. Very much inspired by it. And as I say, this was virtually the same as what she did on her design. She'd done hers in pinks and greys and it looked beautiful. Don't know how hard it was not to recreate it in the pink. A lot of you know that that is my favourite colour to work with when I'm crafting. So yeah, it was a case of, right, well, we'll go for the second favourite, which are the teal blues, and recreate it that way. And as I say, Barbara's had the word hugs written on it. Her die cut was hugs. So yeah, that's where all the inspirations come from today. I might add, I think it needs some little gems in there, to be honest. We didn't put any on that one. I might do that on this one. I might do that for the photos. We'll see. And then recreating it today, we've got that happy birthday in gold this time. And then we've got the addition of the pattern paper and some of the embossed finish. So there's lots of things to look at. You've got that background splatter. You've got the pattern paper in here with the giving it some more dimension because I mounted it on the card. And then we've added the embossed feel as well. So you've got that texture going on as well as that lovely marbling on here. So yeah, just a slight variation on placement, but it still looks okay. And you could do this any colour. You could do it on any size card. It would look great on a nice long DL card with a different layout of the triangles. Just have a play with them dry, place them down and see what you fancy before you commit to sticking them, or use something, you know, that you've seen for inspiration to follow as a guide. So that's my card for today. And as I say, I'm going to pop these on a playlist now that are using basic shapes. And I'm going to revisit the hexagon one as well. I might do hearts. There's lots of different ones that we could actually put together and look at how they're going to work. So if you've enjoyed it today, give it a thumbs up. If you want to pop and see if you can find Barbara's one on Pinterest, all I typed in was triangle card designs and just had a look through. And yeah, that's all we've got for today. So hope you've enjoyed it. If you're not a subscriber yet, consider subscribing to the channel. I'd love to have you, and I'll see you here very soon with another tutorial. We're going to go down the masculine route for the next one. Very, very different to this. I like to keep sort of changing it up, but yeah, we're going to throw a teenage one in there for the next one. So I'll be back soon with that, and I'll see you all then. Thanks for watching. Bye bye now.